sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Seamless. I forgot to set something up, but we're there now. Welcome to Dave's Tackle Box. It's just gone 9 o'clock on the 3rd of November 2013. On tonight's show, we've got a little bit of everything. We've got a bit of VT. We've got a little look at some things that have been happening in the news related to e-cigs this week, and a bit later on, a little bit of show and tell. How cryptic's that? Roll the titles. I've already found a bug with the new Wirecast. Okay, I shall have to watch that. Okay, right. As I say, a bit later on in the show, we're going to be looking at these. All of these mods on this table have one thing in common. They have other things in common as well. Like, you could put atomizers on them. But they have something that's specific to them in common. And we'll be looking at that a bit later. Before that, I want to just give a little update on a story that we were looking at last week when we had Mark Shaw. Mark is a market trader selling e-cigs in a market in the borough of Tower Hamlets in London. And he heard basically, I'm not going to repeat the story from last week, but he got wind of a fact that there was an article about to appear in a local paper to do with e-cigs, and he didn't think it was going to be favourable. And sure enough, on Monday he tweeted me and gave a link to the online version of this thing, so I thought we'd show it to you. If I flick across to here, that's just not right at all, is it? It's not going well. I've got new Wirecast software and I keep setting up the shot and it keeps flicking back. I need to fix this, so I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to come back to that later. No, I need to do it. Thinking about it, I need to do it whilst it's on air, so bear with me, because otherwise it'll end up in a right mess. This will work. I feel sort of confident now. Yay, here we go, look. So this is, it's funny the way this thing scrolls, but this is basically an article, and you can't see the name of the press. I don't like the way this works at all. But it's a local London paper, the name of which I'll check for you in a little while. And it's just as Mark predicted, basically. I'll read it out to you. just for the sake of completion on what we were looking at last week. It says under the heading of e-cig harm warning, some products may contain solvents and chemicals. Trading standards officers are warning about the safety of some electronic cigarette and shisha products that are on sale in Tower Hamlets. E-cigarette and e-shisha devices are increasingly available, and the council is issuing advice on their safety and legality. The concerns relate to the chemicals they contain and also to the electrical safety of the devices, including any chargers supplied with them. So basically, it's pretty much as Mark predicted. They're really having a proper dig at anything to do with e-cigs. There's no sort of facts or anything to support what they're claiming in there, and I wanted to mention it for completeness, but I'm probably not going to dwell on it too much. So I'm just trying to find the name of this paper, but it seems impossible to navigate. Let me get East End Life. I do apologise. It's called East End Life, and it's news from Tower Hamlets Council and your community. So it's basically council propaganda. It fits with pretty much what Mark was telling us that the council had said to him. Very little substantiated fact in there. But I said I'd share it with you, so now I have. And at this stage, I'll just play a quick sting, because I'm a little bit all over the place. Okay, I think I've got a lid on this now. Right, so the first thing I'm going to look at tonight is I've got a little bit of VT that I did. I picked up the other day that there was a newer version of the MVR software and the firmware for the eVic. This eVic here, in fact. So I downloaded it and sort of recorded it as I went along. And this is what I ended up with. Hi, I'm Dave, and this is my eVic. It's got a K-Fun light on top, and we don't care what's on top of it for this. It's time to give it an upgrade, and the only reason I know it's time to give it an upgrade is because I saw a comment from Andy Sutton in Skype the other day. He said he's just updated his eVic. So I went and looked on the Ovali website, because this is the Ovali branded eVic, and indeed, sure enough, version 1.4 of the MVR, this My Vapor Record software, and the corresponding firmware for the eVic itself has been released. I can't remember when, we'll have a look in a minute, but I figured I'm going to put it on. Now, I think the last time I actually loaded up that MVR software was probably when I filmed the last upgrade on it, to be honest with you. But I thought it was worth filming it this time for the simple reason that my eVic hasn't been 100% reliable recently. I've had the thing now, I was just trying to work it out. It's getting on for about 8 months, and I do use it. I wouldn't say I abuse it, but it gets... I don't treat it too carefully, to be honest with you. It's the one that tends to get thumped down on the desk and what have you, and I may have done some damage to it. And for example, I bought the Siam Mods nice stainless steel tube for it and base cap and the top. But what I found was it was fine at first, but then after a while I was finding that putting it on the desk, it was losing power and turning itself off and being a pain. So I think it might have had one thump on the desk too many, actually. It's certainly been knocked off the desk. And in actual fact, while I'm filming this, you may see a small cat come past, which is responsible for a lot of the damage to my vaping gear, actually. It's actually on the floor behind me at the moment, but that probably won't last. But anyway, so 1.4 MVR software and firmware upgrade for the eVic are now available. I'm hoping it might solve a couple of problems I've got. Now these things really don't matter. Okay, they don't stop me using the eVic at all. I've already said that I don't use the NVR software. I don't connect it to the PC with the USB cable very often. In fact, the last time I think was when I upgraded it to 1.3 some months ago. But there are some annoying little things that are going on. One is that it does seem to keep shutting down. It could be damage that I've done to it, but it could also be the firmware. So I'm going to try upgrading it and see if that goes away. The other annoying little thing that happens with it is the clock on it, which I would never look at, but it's there, so it might as well tell the right time. It continually says 0000. So I'm going to put the firmware on. I'm going to have a look at the software, see what's new. I haven't looked at anything. I'm just going to play around, do the upgrade. If you're thinking of doing your upgrade, you can laugh at the way that I get and get it done. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But mostly it's just for something to do. Anyway, so as I say, this is the Ovali branded eVic, and so therefore I'm going to be downloading my update from the Ovali website. You can see there that as you go onto the Ovali website, you have to press the button to confirm you're 18. I'd still question the worth of that, because even if you were 16 you'd still click yes, wouldn't you? But there you go. And you can see that there is version 1.4 install ovali.exe. I'm trying to remember how to do this now, but the first thing we'll do is get it downloading, and I'll save that file. That doesn't really matter where that one goes. The firmware has to go to a certain folder. I remember that, and I can't remember what that folder's called, but let's get it downloaded first of all. And then what I'll do, I think, is I'll just pop up Windows Explorer and search for, and you can see all my VTs there that I've done over a period of time. I can search for the file name, which I've forgotten already, but it's a bin file. Fact is, I couldn't remember where that bin file goes. So I'm going to open up the install executable file that I downloaded and hope I get a clue from there. So I told you, seat to your pants. We're doing this together. So I'm going to go into my downloads and run the executable file. Yeah, I trust this software, of course I do. And here we go. Next. Yeah, whatever. Interesting. It's copying new files. Let's have a vape while I'm waiting. I have a spare e-cig ready for when I have to take this one apart and connect it to the computer. Okay, it says it's installed, so we'll click finish and see what happens, and it's run the software. That's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now then is remove the atomizer from my eVic and put it in this little atomizer stand I've got on the desk here, and connect it up to my PC with the USB cable that it came with. Well, it might be the USB cable that it came with. I don't know about people watching this, but as a vapor, I seem to have accumulated a lot of these sorts of micro USB or mini USB or whatever they are, and I've now connected it. It's now obviously found the eVic, and it's saying 1.3. It's on 1.3. Please upgrade it to 1.4, and it's giving me an option to upgrade it. I'm going to take the upgrade option, refile that I downloaded. Let's see. Maybe it did it for me. Who knows? Yeah, I didn't need to place that. It looks like I didn't even need to download it. It's obviously part of the install package now, so that's an improvement, I think. The last couple of upgrades that I've done, you've had to find which directory, which folder to put that bin file into, and manually put it there, so that when you're prompted to do the firmware upgrade, the file is where it needs to be. Looks like the install package this time actually puts the right version of the file into the right folder. At least that's what I'm hoping has happened. That's a good thing. Let's get back to it. So it's telling me to disconnect the USB cable to complete upgrading. So I've done that, and now we can say OK, and I've upgraded the device successfully. OK, so I'm going to plug it back in again. Now I'm going to reconnect the cable to the device. There we go. And I'm not sure if something happened there or not, but let's click connect e-cig again and try getting data from the e-cig this time. Again, it warns me it'll be exported from the device to the PC. I'll say yes, and this time it's actually sucking the data from the eVic onto the PC. 2,490 records since last time I did it, which may or may not be true because the damn thing does keep resetting itself. Let's see what's different. So for some reason it seems to have set the voltage to 3.3 volts. I think we really want that, do we? I like the variable wattage, and I like it set to about 8.5 watts as a general rule, so I'm going to modify that, and that's written it to the e-cig, it says. What mode is it in? Manual or auto 3 seconds, I don't even know what that one is. We'll leave it manual. The home screen, do we want a puff count and a battery life? No, actually I think I'd quite like VW ohms. I guess that means resistance, but we'll try it, we'll modify that as well. Don't need an alarm on it, that's for sure. And something about stealth. I don't know what that does. I have to find out. Let's turn it on and see. No, that's going to be for lighting up the display, I reckon. I don't want to do that. Configuration, yeah, battery's about right. Turn off the screen after, let's say, 10 minutes. Turn off the system after 30. That sounds all right. That's all okay. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's got the right time this time. I'm just clicking modify on all of these screens where I'm changing something because I'm not sure how good it is. It knows that it's a 2.5 ohm atomizer. Yeah. It's forgotten my name. That's bad. There. Oh, look, we can have some charts. And you can see I use this fairly sporadically. And some months more than others. This is puffs. This is time. So in September. Okay, so we've got time using certain voltages. It really is thoroughly useless information, isn't it? But let's have a look in October. And according to this, I used mostly between about 1.7 ohms resistance. Let's have a look at wattage. Yeah, there you go. So I get about 8.5, didn't I? The vast majority of time in October was spent. You get the idea. And you can export this if you want, which sounds a bit silly, and I don't know what this does. Oh, you can have different devices. Well, there you go. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is stick an atomizer on the top. And turn it on, it's telling me that it's detected a 2.5 ohm atomizer. It's at 8.5 watts, 4.6 volts. The display is doing what I wanted it to do, and bet your life that if I hold this up to the camera it'll go blank. But you may be able to see there that it is actually showing me the atomizer resistance underneath the voltage there. So I've got voltage, wattage and battery status there. So that seems to have done what I wanted it to. If I click it 5 times and figure out how you get to the date and time, and the version now reads a 1.4, which is good. I'm turning stealth on using the menu on here. Yes, and as I thought, it now does nothing. Nothing lights up. That's what it means by stealth. So I had to confirm that. So we'll turn that back off. There's no point in having all this stuff if you don't look at it. And I can see that the time is now 16:41. This has been done at 20 to 5 on Saturday, the 2nd of November, not the 11th of February. Let's see if it's still right when I'm on air tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Managed it, done it, it's upgraded, worked. Had to think about that, but it worked in the end. Job done. And there you go. Right, so just a couple of things to clarify looking at some of the comments in chat as that was playing. On the Ovali website, they do have the 1.4 firmware as a separate download to the 1.4 MVR executable install package. So I downloaded both thinking I'd have to do what I did before, which was find which directory to put the firmware binary file in. But as it turns out, the install package had that file in it anyway, so it's a lot easier now. So you can get it from joytech.com/support if you've got like a generic Joytech version. If you've got a branded version like the Avali one, makes sense to go to their site. I'm pretty sure that either version of the software will work with any eVic, but don't quote me on that. I play it safe. I just use the Avali one. I did say that we'd check and see if it's still telling the right time. And if I navigate through the menu to the bit where it shows you the time, if that'll focus, you can see that it is saying that it's 9:25 on Sunday, the 3rd of November. But it's an American date, so I keep going to say the 11th of March. But it seems to have sorted this out. So I think that's a good thing. So that's the MVR software version 1.4. I'm going to take a short break now. And when I come back, I will be joined by my guest, which is Dave Dawn. And we might talk about the eVic. We might talk about some other stuff as well. And of course, we've still got to determine what is special about all these mods, including this one. See you after the break.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box. sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And we're back in the room. And, as promised, I am joined by... Got it wrong. Did the usual trick.
I can see two of you.
Oh, there's just too much bloody stuff here. Do you remember when we just used to work off a single webcam?
I do. It
was extremely difficult to get the wrong camera shot on that.
Extremely difficult because the software only took one bloody camera. I've got to say though, I'm gonna say this and I'll say it out loud. The video quality coming out of you tonight is sterling.
That's
in
good.
comparison to what we've been having. It's well worth the upgrade and the hassle.
Good. That's good to hear. So let's hope I can get this mastered. Yeah, okay. Right, anyway, eVics. Yours,
yes.
We were talking earlier, weren't we? And yours met its demise, did it?
Mine appears to be not alone. There seems to be a fair few of them that have met their demise in chat. Well, I counted 3 or 4. It just died. Jill had been using it, and Jill is very delicate. She's not one for chucking stuff about, although I will say if it's in a handbag, there's no guessing what's in a lady's handbag, and I would never look. But yeah, it gave up the ghost. It came out one day, she changed the battery, and she says, "Why isn't this working?" It's because it's dead. So it's going to go back under warranty, and we'll get it sorted out that way.
That's what a warranty's for.
Indeed.
And I like I say, I've had a few glitches with mine, like the clock not working, but never has it let me down when I want to vape.
Up until the eVic died, it was amazing. I just don't know why it's died. So when it comes back, I'll no doubt find out, and I shall share with the world.
Would be good to know, because maybe whatever's up with yours is the same fault as some of the others have got.
That could well be the case.
Okay. Right, anyway, let's draw a line under the eVic. I wanted to look at a couple of stories that have cropped up during the week. Very quickly, I'm going to look at one that relates to insurance. I'm just going to get this on the screen. And this will work this time, Dave. And I've just noticed it says your name's Mark Shaw.
Yeah. Hey, if I was half as good looking as Mark, I'd be happy.
This really isn't going too well tonight, is it? Oh man, it's not fair. Hang on, watch this magic.
I'm watching. Oh, tighty. Here we go.
Right. I'll fix that.
Oh, there you go. I've just seen it now.
It's been a busy day. Oh dear, I haven't got chat up, and I think that's probably a good thing at this stage of the proceedings, to be honest.
They seem quite happy.
Oh good, well, I'm pleased about that at least. Right, I'm
sorry, I was just going to say, I crit my pants is asking whether it's X-rays that's behind me. Yes, from TSA. You know all the files they're supposed to delete.
Right, let's get this up on there. This is an article from moneymarketing.co.uk that relates to Bright Grey and Scottish Provincial. And it says that they're changing protection criteria for e-cigarettes. And the piece basically relates to the way that so far insurance companies, particularly for things like life insurance, but I'll tell you, I've got a little anecdote in a minute about home insurance as well, class anybody that uses e-cigs as that's a horrible picture, isn't it, that one? Class anybody that uses e-cigs as smokers. And kind of the rationale is that if you are using an e-cig, which they deem to be the same sort of thing as NRT, then the chances are you've smoked in the last 12 months, and therefore your premium should be higher. And it talks about a couple of different insurers, saying, for example, that some of them are actually including e-cigs specifically in their policy now to say, yeah, you're a smoker. Whereas these Scottish ones are making special allowance, if you like, for e-cigs. I said I've got an anecdote. I applied, I was renewing actually my home contents insurance a couple of years ago, and I had to do a questionnaire over the phone. And they said to me, are you a smoker? I said, no. I said, I use an e-cig. And they said, oh, you're a smoker then. And I said, why is this relevant? This is for home contents insurance. And apparently because I used an e-cig, I'm still a smoking fire hazard. So they were still cheapest as it happens, but it's nice to see that they are actually starting to think about these things. I mean, you had to flick through that earlier as well. Did you have any observation on it?
Oh, there's a number of different observations on it, and if you're very careful and very canny, and you choose wisely, you can probably go to your doctor and have your doctor certify that you are a non-smoker because you're an e-cig user, and it would appear that there are plenty of them doing that now. And you can put that in, but I would advise you, if you are rapidly approaching the age of 65, at which age you would take your pension, not your state pension, but one that you've bought out. If you then go to your doctor and say, I'm a bad lad and have a tab, so he signs you off that and says you're a smoker again, you get a bigger pension.
Yes,
not saying I've done that. They just don't know how to handle e-cigs. They don't know where they're at because they're not getting a unified message, a single, simple message about what these things are. That's the problem. They don't understand what the impact of nicotine is, and to some degree that's understandable when you consider that around about 30% of doctors in the UK haven't got a clue that nicotine is not a carcinogen, isn't bad for you, and is no worse for you than caffeine.
Well, as we're continually reporting on here.
Yes. So the bottom line on it is the insurance companies now realise that there's a bloody big number of people using e-cigs. They've got to get a handle on it. The actuaries at this point in time have very little data to go on because nothing's happened. You know, nobody's died, nobody's become ill, nobody's, lost a leg because they're using e-cig. So the actuaries have got the square root of bugger all data to base any estimates on.
If I was a cynic, I might say that is data, but there you go.
Well, it is. I mean, you don't have to be a cynic to say that it is data. It is data. The problem is it's not written down anywhere because it hasn't happened. So they've got no real notion of what they... Because everything insurance companies do is work on percentages, of course. It's what percentage chance have I got of dying before I'm 75?
Indeed, yeah.
And so really an insurance policy is a bet. It's a gamble. As the person buying it, you're gambling that you were going to live longer or catch whatever, or that they've got their odds wrong, basically. And at the moment, they can't work the odds out. It's a bit like a horse race, a brand new horse that's never raced before, brand new. They've got nothing to base anything on. They don't know who its parents is, so they've just got to see how it performs. And that's pretty much where they are.
Yeah, I think you're right, and this article in the moneymarketing.co.uk kind of sums that up. There's a quote from one of the insurance companies there. It says, at the moment we would class someone who smokes e-cigarettes as a smoker. However, we're currently reviewing our underwriting policies around this issue, including the extent to which we need to change the wording on application forms. And he goes on to say their application form remained an issue, as there is typically no tobacco in an e-cigarette. A lot of brokers are still likely to put users down as non-smokers, which could cause major problems at the point of claim.
Yes.
And I think that pretty much just bears out what you were saying there.
Well, it's a different understanding in the different echelons of the hierarchy. So the broker has one idea that you're a non-smoker, and it might be the underwriters see it differently. They just haven't been able to get their act together. That's the bottom line. And it'll take time like everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just trying to keep tabs on chat as I go now.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a look as well. It's
but I can't.
I think it's safe to say I'm going to find out where Sav got her implant, and I'm going to see if I can get one, because I've tried times without number to do what she does.
I think it might be a genetic thing, mate.
Well, she and Kat can both do it. The number every time I've tried, not a hope.
It's this whole multitasking thing that the male of the species simply doesn't do.
Well, I mean, Kat can both do chat and crochet at the same time. She's clever. She's too clever.
Chris also had a comment, actually, from Skype about the eVic. She said since she did the upgrade, it thinks about it way too much.
It's obviously a bloke. He's trying to make sure it doesn't get the answer wrong, Chris.
Possibly. Right. Okay, so yeah, that was just a little interesting point on insurance, because I know I've mentioned it before on the show. The fact that they don't seem to know. Oh yeah, and shopping online at Tesco she can do while she's doing this multitasking, apparently.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's every woman. Every woman can shop while she's doing something else. You know that.
So the insurance companies. That was talk about tangents, man.
Just a bit.
So the insurance companies are reviewing stuff. Whether it turns out to be sensible when they've finished, well, we'll report it here. Of course we will.
Well, we might even campaign a little, you know.
Who knows?
People power. Nothing about us without us.
Well said. Very timely.
Thought so.
Right. There's another issue I want to talk about, though. This actually, it's not so much a news story as something that's been cropping up on the UK Vapers forum a fair bit recently. And it's here's an idea. Here's an idea, right? There's a number of companies and organisations who are stopping people. You know, they're putting up signs now saying no electronic cigarettes. Bless you. On our buses or in our buildings or whatever, you know. So people are banning the use of e-cigs and telling people they've got to go outside, often with the smokers, if they want to vape. Yeah, and we've seen it. There's a couple a week on average, I would say, of different pub chains, councils, bus companies, whatever, you know, announcing the city of New York apparently are trying it on as well. And I've noticed on the forum that there's a couple of different sort of viewpoints about this from vapers. Now, some people are saying, actually, they could live with that. They could live with that if it means that vaping is not banned or regulated out of existence. Okay, so I think some people are seeing it as maybe a compromise. Yeah, so the idea being that, okay, if they treat them like cigarettes, at least I'll be able to get what I want and do it. This is the reason I asked you on the show tonight, because I've got a feeling that you won't subscribe to that point of view, Dave.
No, I bloody don't. Let's go back to the good old
Can I
days.
just make sure though we are short of time, so no sitting on the fence, all right?
Oh, well, okay. I shall attempt not to be balanced in that case then. Right. Let's go back to the good old days when men were men and you knew where you stood. If you were in somewhere that had an ashtray, you could smoke. That was how you knew you could smoke. Wherever you were, if there was an ashtray, or you would ask the question, have you an ashtray? And certainly, sir, and they would bring an ashtray. If they said, well, actually, no, we don't encourage smoking here, you knew where you stood. At the minute, we don't. All right, Wetherspoons has come out and said, we don't like cigarettes. And it's actually cigarettes they don't like. Ask Gillis.
Yeah.
Because he and I sat in a Wetherspoons with devices like this beggar, and we gave it 6 now, and nobody said, boo, it's cigarettes they don't like. And it's the same with a lot of these places. Here's my way of thinking. We actually need some semblance of information from these places to say one way or another. And to be honest, I don't care whether they do it out of prejudice. I don't care whether they do it scientifically. I don't care how they do it, as long as they bloody well do it. And we have options. So, Wetherspoons, it's banned. I'm not going. I'm not chancing it, I can vote with my feet.
Yeah.
The airlines need to get a proper policy together and understand what's going on and reinitiate the last 10 rows for the vapers. I know it doesn't do any harm, but if it's going to make them feel happier, fine. The way it was before smoking was banned is the way it ought to be for e-cigs. It was all right then, before all this fannying about with second-hand smoke and side stream smoke and everything else came about. Let's have it the way it used to be with fags before the smoking ban and before everybody started getting politically correct, because it's all it is. That's the bottom line of it. And I know there's going to be adverts coming. Can I just say that after the adverts, if Dave lets us, I'm going to rant at the BMA, because those buggers, the doctors' trade union, because that's all it is. It's nothing more than a trade union.
Hang on, let me think.
What?
Do it now. The answer can wait.
Right, look, the bottom line on this is dead simple. The BMA has been writing to the likes of football grounds and at councils and God knows where else, saying you ought to ban these the same way as you have smokes. These ought not to be used where people can't use cigarettes because they're going to renormalise smoking. I'm telling you now, for a trade union, because that's what the BMA is, they are about as democratic as my little toe. That's how democratic they are. They need to wind their necks in. They are making me very, very, very annoyed, and they need to be told. I'll be quiet now.
Can I just say, and I've picked the pipe up following advice in chat, because you can't rant without a pipe, right? I can point and say, BMA, say something constructive, don't say anything at all. Nice rant, Dave.
Can I quote from Adam Hills?
I think you have to.
BMA, you're being dicks, and you need to stop. You're supposed to be educated. You're supposed to have doctorates. You're supposed to be people that know what they're talking about. But when it comes to e-cigs, you're being dicks. Stop being dicks and think of the long-term game. Look 15 years down the road when 95% of people that use nicotine are using e-cigs, and you are going to look completely stupid. Stop being dicks. Over to you, Dave.
Follow that, eh? You're so right, though, aren't you, Dave? I mean, this is the thing. Let's be honest. If medical regulation came in, and if the pharma companies think, okay, we're going to start making e-cigs, the BMA would change their tune. There's food for thought.
Well, of course they would. It's the doctors' trade union, so they're going to have to say, well, you can't stop people taking their medications. They could die otherwise. Dicks.
Break.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back. And what I'm showing you now is a page from UK Vapors Forum, and I'm not biased, honest. But I was asked by Cooper, a fellow moderator on UK Vapors, if I could just remind people that the UKV Awards 2013 are gathering pace. We're now at the stage where you can nominate your what's the word? Your nominees. That's probably a good thing to nominate, isn't it?
Nominate your nominees.
Nominate your nominees for all these different categories, and I'm not going to read them all out because there's loads. Look, so things like Vaping Accessory of the Year and Vaping Advocate of the Year, Vaping Innovation 2013, Best Customer Service, the Shed Award. That's one I liked for UKV's Best Mod Maker, and so on and so on. So if you want to get along there and get it, make sure your nominees are included, and the next thing that happens then is all those nominees get put together in a poll and a vote is taken. So there you go. It's just a bit of fun. That's where you go if you want to nominate someone. There you go. I've done my plug. There you go, Cooper. Kept my promise. There's a couple of very quick questions before we look at these mods again.
Okay.
There was a question from FMRL. If the BMA, MHRA, BMJ, etc. are all pushing for medregs for e-cigs, then why are they also pushing for e-cigs to be vilified as smoking? I think that's one of those rhetorical questions, isn't it? They're just being anti. They're being anti the status quo. And these buggers will change their tune like that when the political climate. Yeah, exactly. Because they're dicks. Yeah. Nicely summarised, Dave.
Sorry to be sitting on the fence, getting splinters at my bum.
Very boring is pointing out that the BMA have a panel in charge who make all the pronouncements. Most doctors don't get a say. I don't think most doctors are that interested, to be honest. It's easier to toe the line.
Well,
Pick up your paycheck, isn't it?
It's a trade union, so it acts like all trade unions.
Yeah.
And you know,
and some are better than others, and some of them are like the BMA.
Yes.
Dicks. Before you beat me to it.
Hey, actually, I've just had a thought. They could all end up in the jungle, because that's hosted by ants and dicks.
Right. Let's talk about mods, and particularly how do I do this now?
Sorry, I'm laughing at that one.
Ants and dicks. I think that's a northeast joke, isn't it? That one, definitely.
No, it's Australian accent. Ants and dicks are doing this.
I think the best comment on that came out of chat was groan.
I make no apologies. It just came to me in a dream.
Right. Let's shuffle the politics to one side for a bit. And oh yeah, there's a meet happening next week, isn't there?
There is.
And I still haven't scraped the trailer. So go on, Dave. You can plug it.
Yeah. On the 9th of November, South Shields is near Newcastle, only further away, like. And when you get there, you'll see your names, mate. There'll be lots and lots of folks there, including, I understand, Gillis. Gillis is coming now. That's the 9th of November at the New Crown Hotel on the roundabout at South Shields. Be there or be an oblate spheroid.
I'll just and you disappeared on and off the screen a bit there because Wirecast has resorted all my icons.
There you go.
So I think we had a little bit of the opening titles in amongst that, and it needed translation anyway. That's the knees, mate. South Shields next Saturday.
Now, if you'd said I could have done it like that, that's the knees, mate. South Shields, 9th of November from noon.
There you go. That was infinitely more clear, and all my shots have gone on the screen.
You're all over everywhere, are we?
Right, hang on. If I do that, Oh, you seem to be on a different layer now. I've kind of got you superimposed over camera 2.
That's ghostly. It's the ghostly image of DD
That
over some
is
mods. It means I can get a very
odd.
close look at them, though, Dave.
Why is that happening?
Because I've been moved on to layer 2, you can just drag and drop between them now, you see.
But I haven't. I haven't done that.
Well, no, it's okay. I'm close up with them. I'm going to look this.
Just to give you an idea, both these shots. Look, here's my hands.
Oh my God, that's
See what I mean?
It's a nice skin tone.
Both these shots are coming from the TVS.
Eh?
This is impossible.
Check your TVS. It hasn't switched properly. Do a cut.
That works.
There you go.
I've just between you and me, Dave.
Yes.
We've had a couple of technical issues on the show tonight, but I don't think anybody's noticed.
No, probably not.
Oh man! Right, okay. There's a pile of mods here, and I said at the beginning. I also said this one as well. They all have something in common, and the batteries are a bit of a clue. But just before we say exactly what that is,
They all take batteries. No?
they all take batteries. They also all take atomizers. But do you remember when big battery mods first appeared?
Oh,
You
God.
kind of had to decide what size battery you wanted, didn't you?
Yes.
And then get a mod that took that size battery.
Yes.
That will have given it away. All of those things there will take different sizes of batteries. So we were chatting earlier, weren't we? And we thought, I've got a bunch of these now. So you've got some telescopic mods and things that take different battery sizes, haven't you?
I have. I mean, the majority of the mods that I use on a day-to-day basis all take 18650s, but I do have a selection of mods local to me, handily placed as it were, that will take different sizes from my Dingo and I've got a roller body for this as well, that will take everything from an 18650 down to an 18350.
Which is good.
Via the GG, just GG, which will take everything from an 18650 down to, get this, you can get a 10440 in if you want. I mean, I don't know why you would.
You can, indeed.
But you could. I have, what's this? This is one that never actually made it properly onto the market. It's the UDT V8, which also takes all of the 18s down over, and 16s, and 17s. Apparently, you can get a 17.670. Oh, you can, 17.670.
Yeah, smaller than 18, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yes, in the 17 direction. And I've got the Storm here as well. That's a bit of a GG clone. And I've got all of my GGs, which are all a bit like just GG, only not just as nice.
GG, I think, was probably the first one that did this, wasn't it?
Yes.
I can't remember anything before it. You had to pick a mod suited to the battery that you wanted to use, didn't you?
Absolutely, yes. It was with the advent of the GG, the telescoping and what have you actually took its rise. And on in that respect, Neo was indeed the first. There was nothing that took different sizes of batteries.
He may have had the first couple of designs, actually, to be fair. Because obviously there's the GGTS, which is most of us are familiar with now, where you just unscrew it, hence telescopic, to take the battery size you want. And it'll go all the way down to really, really small. Really, really, really small, if you wanted to. But the GGTB had a slightly different design, didn't it? So although the body's a fixed length, you had this little thing inside. Do you remember that?
Ah, yes, the plug.
That's it. And
The
that
GGTB butt plug.
So it took, if you take this thing out, it takes a 17670, which is the biggest it could get to. But you can get down to those little tiddly CR123 things, couldn't you?
If that really took your fancy, yes.
I thought that was quite clever.
Very boring, Sin. Keeps thinking about making a mod with a rechargeable button cell just for a laugh. Have you thought, very boring, about stacking 10 of them, 10 1.2 volt ones, to give you a 12 volt onto a 5 or 6 ohm atomizer. That would be nice.
Mm. Can you get rechargeable button cells?
You can, but they usually have solder tabs on them for PC motherboards.
Of course. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I used to be an IT tech.
Have you seen this one?
Which one's that one?
This is the Pro telescopic thing.
I have not seen that one, no. I would like to get one, though, because it does look rather nice.
It's got this ridiculously long positive pin. Like, ridiculously long.
Yes.
So, like, that long.
So it's one for the ladies, then?
Yeah, possibly. But I have no idea why it would have a pin that long, because if you screw an atomizer on, you add that much to the on top of the length of the battery.
Yes.
Which kind of defeats the object of having something that can screw all the way down to take an 18350 or something, doesn't it?
Does a bit.
Shall I show you my favourite telescopic mod?
What's your favourite?
That one. The Galileo.
Galileo Figaro. That's a bottom button, that one, isn't it?
It is a bottom button.
See, I can never. I don't know why. It must be something to do with the way my fingers work. I'm never good with my finger round the bottom. But I can find the button when it's on the side or at the front very easily. Story of my life.
Oh dear. Well, this one I quite like because it's a bit more compact than some of the others because of the bottom button. I think it gives it that like kind of feeling of being a little bit more compact when it's down to 18 sort of 350 size, you know.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's 18650 size now. What I like about this one as well is the atomizer connectors are the ones that you can buy loose for soldering into mods and things.
Yes.
And it's just held in with a little Allen key there, so you can put anything you want in there pretty much. It's quite a versatile little mod.
Yeah, you could probably drop a 901 in or an 801 or anything like that.
So, but the other thing that's incredibly common these days, and we're running out of time it seems, this is GP PAPs. As more and more of the, shall we say, the smaller run specialist high-end mods,
Yes.
where you get a selection of tube sizes.
Yes.
Again, it kind of needs to be bottom button, really, doesn't it, to do that, really? But 18650, 18500, 18350.
The Poldiac, I think, has different size tubes, but it's a side button at the top. Side button at the top. So it's got the button much the way the Dingo has.
Right. So that's like a module, and the tube goes on the bottom of that, I guess. Yeah.
Switch. Yeah, and the Poldiac, I think, comes with different size tubes and different size shirts and pants. I haven't quite got into that yet, but I'm giving severe consideration to a Poldiac. I quite like to look at that.
Yeah, well, that sounds like something that probably needs investigation, frankly. Okay, well, look, we've kind of made it to the end. And
before we wind up, people are asking, are you going to the Needs meet?
Personally, I am not going to the Needs meet. I cannot make it, I am sad to say. Basically, I had to pick my weekend, and I picked the following week before.
Where are you going the following week, Dave?
The following week, I will be going to Vapefest Ireland.
Sure. So will I. I'll be there. In spades, I will.
To be sure. That would be the 16th of November in Abbeyleix.
Yes. Yes. Don't believe Sky on their F1 programme today that said that the next race was on the 15th. And Sunday the 15th, it isn't, it's the 17th.
Correct.
But the Vapefest Island is on the 16th in Abbeyleix at the Abbeyleix Manor Hotel.
And I'm pleased to report that I managed to get a room relatively nearby. So that means I'll be able to have a beer. Just one.
I have a room in the hotel, so I can have more than one beer.
I've got a bed and breakfast somewhere. Full Irish breakfast included.
Yes. Guinness and RY6. It's a marriage made in heaven.
I think we've overrun.
Have we? Oops.
Miles is asking me, have I got a room? Yes, I have. Yeah, it's all good. Tonight has been a technical challenge. But we made it.
It's been brought to you by the words look and floor.
And a few others. Dave, can I say thanks very much for joining me tonight?
Of course you can.
Between now and next week, I shall practice using this new Wirecast software.
Once you get, I mean, I did use it on Wednesday and Thursday night, and it is, once you've got used to it, it's cracking, and the video quality is stunning, dear.
Excellent. I shall watch the playback. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Oh.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.